Studio Gainax filed for bankruptcy on May 29, 2024. Their filing was accepted by the Tokyo District Court on June 7, 2024, about a week later. The studio is now defunct, but the Gainax trademark is now owned by Studio Kara, a studio run by Hideaki Anno, who used to be a part of the now bankrupt company. Gainax has had many issues throughout its long history in the anime industry, and Anno has tried to help the company many times. Today, I want to talk about the ways Anno has tried to save Studio Gainax from bankruptcy, only to realize that people aren't willing to help themselves. In 1995, Hideaki Anno developed a mecha anime that began the third anime boom, Neon Genesis Evangelion. This anime work would not only change the anime world forever, but was also a commercial success. As one of the first anime series that adopted the production committee system, all products related to EVA were a hit across the board, including toy sales and manga. In 1997, the total sales of Evangelion merchandise exceeded 30 billion yen or $190 million. And what did Gainax's accountant and president do? They underreported the success of Evangelion by concealing away 1.56 billion yen, thereby failing to pay $560 million in corporate taxes. And how did they hide such a huge amount from auditors? By paying fees to companies for software programs on fictitious contracts. These costs were then paid back to Gainax. These software production firms later received a part of those costs as a commission for the tax evasion scheme, a very shady deal. After the tax evasion case, EVA-related revenues declined, and the company's cash flow shortfalls were evident. But in 2004, the company recovered with capital increases by two major business partners and revenues from the pachinko adaptation of Evangelion. You might not know this, but there is money to be made in pachinko. Just go ask Konami. Anno also joined the board of directors, but only in name, as he wasn't interested in the business side of things. The reason for this move is because Anno, who has contributed to a lot of Gainax's success with his projects, has made a name for himself. And people would trust Gainax more if he were there. Despite not being a part of the logistics side of running Gainax, Anno did look into the internal documents and figures and discovered something that angered him: a huge discrepancy in salaries, as well as salaries being paid to people who did little to no work. He was especially upset learning that the team who worked hard on Evangelion made low wages. In 2006, Hideaki Anno decided to leave Gainax to start his own animation studio, Studio Kara. He left behind the rights to Evangelion with the intention of leading a studio that cared for its employees more. He would, however, continue to receive royalties from merchandising revenue. Now that he was on his own, Anno decided to recreate Evangelion without the constraints he had while working at Gainax, such as the production budget and TV guidelines. This remake was titled Rebuild of Evangelion. Gainax took care of all of the negotiations, while Studio Kara took care of the anime production. Since Gainax would also be getting some revenue, Anno found this to be a win-win for both studios. And once again, Evangelion profits increased. In 2012, Gainax started to fall behind on royalty payments to Studio Kara, and since Anno still cared about Gainax, he accepted a request for installment payments. In 2014, Gainax begged Anno for more financial support, saying something like, "If we don't get the money within 3 days, our company will have to shut down." They asked for 100 million yen, which Anno scrambled to secure. From here, things are gonna get even messier. In 2014, Anno and his team at Studio Kara, many who have worked at Gainax like Anno, offered to help Gainax out by purchasing the rights to some of their IPs, like Fooly Cooly, Gunbusters, and Eyebuster. When the deal was about to be made though, Gainax then countered back by saying the price for the IP rights would be 6 times more than the initial agreement. And just like that, the deal was off. Shortly after, Anno learned that the IPs he wanted to purchase were sold to another company, without his or anyone else's knowledge. Luckily, Anno was able to retrieve the full rights to Evangelion, protecting the IP from possibly being sold by Gainax. A couple of years later in 2016, Gainax's payments to Studio Kara stopped completely. Anno tried to reach out to find out what was going on, but was not able to get in contact with the president of Gainax at the time. He did, however, learn that more studios bearing the name Gainax began to appear all over Japan, including Gainax West and Gainax Fukushima. Here, Anno develops a concern for not Gainax, but the IPs they possessed, so he filed a provisional seizure in order to prevent the in-depth company from selling even more of their legacy. He learned that many of them were sold to Gainax's Fukushima branch, now known as Studio Gaina, which now operates independently from Gainax. Through some time and effort, Studio Kara, with the help of the companies involved with the production of their IPs, was able to retrieve them back and have since been preserved by ATAC, the Anime Tokusatsu Archive Center, a non-profit organization. Anno also filed a lawsuit regarding the repayment of the 100 million yen loan, which he was fine with settling privately through a settlement. But Gainax took it to court, made it public, and lost, which was just another foot into the grave for them. In 2019, Anno finally denounced his ties to Gainax after then-President Maki Tomohiro was found guilty of sexually assaulting a voice actress. And in the last 5 years or so, Gainax has basically just been existing as a name. They haven't even had a proper studio since 2016, and instead have been operating in an apartment home. On May 29, 2024, they filed for bankruptcy, and the request was accepted by the Tokyo District Court about a week later. Studio Kara will be assisting in transferring rights of works to suitable owners. Gainax's IPs will continue to live on through Studio Trigger and Studio Kara. And that's it for today's video. Let me know in the comments which Gainax IP you'd like to see make a comeback.